Welcome to Quantum Souls Revolution. This is an invitation to jump into a new reality, a reality where we are aligned to our higher purpose, where we are shining our gifts, our talents into the world. So welcome. And today we have a very special episode. We are here in the White Tuckeries with Stefanie from Hypnosis Auckland. Thank you so much, Stefanie, for the invitation here to your place. We have this beautiful view. We are so connected with the bush right now, so it's going to be a special one. So please stay tuned until the end. And yeah, I would like the audience to really understand what is hypnotherapy and how hypnotherapy can support us during this change that we are all experiencing as our society is transforming, but as individuals, we've been asked to change. And change seems so hard sometimes because we like what is familiar, you know?
True.
But yeah, I would like to people to understand a little bit more how hypnosis can support us in this change, times of change.
Yeah, very good question. So it is a therapeutic tool that we're using. So the hypnotherapy is working with our subconscious more than our conscious. So the way we see it is 90% of how we operate comes from our subconscious, from our autopilot. So by having learned certain skills, behaviors, and done it in a repetitive manner, we sort of downloaded things in our hard drive, which is our subconscious. So we go into autopilot. So we don't have to consciously think about how to do things. We're just tapping into our hard drive and just, press the play button. So when we want to make changes, it's very important to have 100% on board, right? The 10% conscious, wanting to make that change, whatever somebody's struggling with, to overcome it. And 90% needs to get those new instructions too. So hypnotherapy is a really good tool using guidance and using trance. Some people might compare it with guided meditation. It's a little bit like that. So even the meditative state is the trance state, where you're sort of in that dream state, almost in that twilight state. And when we're in that state, we are more open to changes. And with suggestions coming in, hypnosis is suggestions about how changes can occur and how the future will look having achieved those changes. Doing it in a repetitive manner can help to really make positive changes for that person. So 10% conscious is joining 90% subconscious. So you've got 100% of you wanting to get the job done. So you're more likely to find the strength and find that hyper focus to achieve what you want to achieve. And, we all want to better ourselves, but sometimes we're stuck because, we're running this old program, and it's really hard to make those changes without having your subconscious on board.
Yeah, definitely. Because as you mentioned, we are 90% of the time in autopilot.
That's
autopilot.
Right.
And like our behaviors are like driven by these programs that we have in the subconscious mind. How hypnotherapy taps into the subconscious of a person? How it's the process?
Yeah. So the process starts with the initial consultation with the client. We ask, what do you want to get out of the session, right? What's your goal? What's the program or behavior that you want and you find hard to get? So we make a plan, and how is life going to be like once you've achieved it? So we know the benefits for the person once that change has been achieved. So the process then is to make the client as comfortable as possible, starting with more like a physical relaxation, giving guidance, instructions, close your eyes and focus on your breathing, and, breathing in the nice feeling of calm, and letting go of any tension. So first is the physical relaxation, and then we do, which is the induction. So it can be like a progressive relaxation. Then we go into often their happy place, their sanctuary, where in their mind they feel very comfortable. And then we do what's called a deepener. And a deepener is often that we count down, right? We say, okay, now you're going to this most comfortable place deep inside you, and you've got your own staircase leading there, and it's got 10 steps, and with every number that I count and every step that you go deeper, you find that your relaxation state doubles. So you go deeper and deeper, and then you get that person into trance. So their brain waves will change. The first sort of relaxed state, but where you're still alert, that's the alpha waves. But then with going deeper into a more comfortable state, and by using all of the senses, see what you see, smell what you smell, listen to the sound of the birds, the sound of the sea, and all of that, you will then get into what we call the theta brain waves. And when we're in that state, what happens is it's sort of a dream state that we cannot really differentiate between, is this reality or is this imagination? So it just thinks everything that you will now feed through in that state to the person who is suggestible, because they are there on board, they want to make those changes, or they want them to occur. You will then find that they are in that trance state where you basically show them live how it is to have made those changes, and doing it in a repetitive manner, because the way we've been brainwashed, we've been indoctrinated. A lot of the programs that we are running are not even ours. You learn them through your parents, through your siblings, through school, university, society, the news, whatever there is. And a lot of the stuff that we are running, we haven't even chosen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So it's really empowering people to make changes and delete programs that are not beneficial for them, which really are holding them back. So that's really, I hope I did explain that in the right way. So we make the suggestions, we do it in a repetitive manner, and show them future pacing, show them how their life is going to be now that they are smoke-free, now that they are feeling confident, now that they are leaving their fingernails alone and no longer chew them. All of those positive suggestions come with in a repetitive manner. So, we do this again and again. I record it for my clients. So this is something they can take home with them. So they have a little 15-minute recording, which they can listen to at the end of the day or whenever they choose to. And it will really bring in those new repetitive suggestions. And what happens is the neural pathways will grow. Right? People say it takes about 21 days to establish a new habit. But, sometimes depending what it is, we can get it done a lot faster too. So first get them into a trance, have a plan, what needs to change, show them the plan in the future, how life is going to be, do it in a repetitive manner. It's all in their best interest. So there's no reason why they should resist it. So they're very open to it, and you're guiding them through it. It's teamwork. It's really teamwork.
Beautiful. It sounds that the intention of the person coming to do the hypnotherapy, it's really important, the intention and the desire to do these changes. I feel that in this journey of awakening and remembering, it's pretty much disestablish all these old programs and learning new ones, So I'm just wondering, in terms of for someone coming to having a hypnotherapy session, how long it will take for a person to change certain behavior. And I also wanted to ask you, what are the the reasons why you see most people coming to see you. You mentioned about smoking, for example, and I think addictions have been a coping mechanism for a lot of us for a very long time. And a lot of us want to get rid of addictions that are no longer in alignment with this higher path that we are trying to do. So how long it will take, for example, for a person that wants to stop smoking, how long it will take for them to reprogram and change this pattern and this behavior?
Yeah. So it depends what they come for and how long it has been going on for. True. So there's a difference. If somebody comes for a fear, a fear of, I don't know, the rain, or the fear of birds, or the fear of going over the harbor bridge or something like that. A fear always takes longer to overcome, but often people don't realize it's often a phobia. So a phobia is when there has been an initial sensitizing event. There would have been some event, there would have been turbulences on the plane, and now they have a fear of flying. It's really not a fear of flying, it's a phobia, because, in that moment when they got distressed, their subconscious took photos like, don't ever get me on something like this again, trying to help that person. So we reprogram, we rewrite the movie on the plane. So if somebody comes with a phobia relating to an initial event in the past, it can sometimes be just one session. That's the beauty about hypnotherapy. We don't really want to do counseling or psychotherapy or anything like that. We're always focusing on going forward, empowering you, giving you the tools to do it, giving you the recording, and really trying to find, as a hypnotherapist, I think you have to be good at reading people, how they tick. And you need to find something that really motivates them to make the change as soon as possible. Sometimes it's already been done the moment after the first session. With Stop Smoking, I always have a program of 2 sessions, because it's actually interesting. Knowing that they have to come back a week later, somebody's following up, is actually giving them a little bit more ambition, or, to actually be able to follow it through is quite important. So that would be 2 sessions. I do weight loss. Those sessions can be 2 to 4 sessions. But really, the problem is, if you're a good hypnotherapist, you don't have repeat customers, right? Unless they send their family members, or it's a word of mouth, someone else. But really, because you can get the job done quite quickly, especially when they're motivated, then you can get results quite quickly, which is beautiful, really.
Really beautiful, really beautiful. So it seems that in these states of altered consciousness that we go through when we do hypnotherapy, it seems that we are in a stage where our brain is easier to just change those old pathways.
Those theta waves I was mentioning.
The theta waves. So that's what can actually generate a more just easier any change that we require. And I'm quite interested about what you were mentioning about like smoking, for example, because I come from a family where there has been a lot of addiction to smoke cigarette, and it's been like generational. And I'm just wondering, when you, let's say in my case, if I do a session to heal my own addiction to tobacco, do you know how this might affect my own lineage?
I think I know what you mean. Here's the thing, we mimic behavior, right? So if you've grown up and you would have seen your parents smoking or drinking alcohol, or as a child, we see it and we mimic. So I don't think it's a genetic thing as such. I think it's actually learned behavior. And also it can be a coping mechanism, like turning to food, turning to sweets and chocolate. We've been all indoctrinated in a way that if you got hurt as a child, go and have a lolly, that's going to make it better.
I know.
You know, if you're breaking up from your relationship, you're sitting there with your ice cream tub and you're, you know, stuffing your face with it. So there has been a lot of suggestions on what to do. But of course, those coping mechanisms where you turn to food, or you turn to cigarettes, or you turn to alcohol, or you turn to gambling, or you're going to chew your fingernails, or you're going to, you know, pull your hair, all of those things is a coping mechanism, but it's outdated by the time that you're an adult. You shouldn't really be doing it anymore, because, you know, either you've mimicked behavior from people around you, and by having seen this in a repetitive manner, you've downloaded it, it's okay to smoke, or that's what we do. But often it is, you know, what's the feeling when you turn to a cigarette? And you might say, well, you know, I get stressed and it relaxes me. And I say, well, you know, how can inhaling toxins possibly relax you? It puts a stress on your system, because now your body thinks, oh my God, she's putting all of those toxins in your body, and, you know, now I have to work extra hard to, you know, keep alive and to get this stuff out of my system, right? So it's really about relaxing. Smoking is the fact that you remove yourself from your work, you go for your smoko, you know, or you are having an argument and you go outside, and then you are taking deep breath in, right? So you go, while you're doing it, you're inhaling 3,000 chemicals, you know, but really when you think about it, it's not single. So we sort of debunk it a little bit with hypnosis. We say, hey, this is actually not relaxing. This is a punishment. You inhaling that. Turning to alcohol, this is a punishment. So what can we now give your you know, give you in that stressful situation to really give you a balance? What do you actually need instead of those other things? You know, do you just need to have that time to yourself? Do you just need to stretch your legs? Do you just need to have, you know, a time out? You know, what is it? Can you coach yourself through it in a better way? You know, telling yourself, I'm okay, you know, I'm calm, I can do it. So that you break the pattern of going to some substance that you turn to. So there's a lot of things we do. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. We use it a lot in hypnotherapy too, where we reframe things, where we you know, do trauma release and all of that stuff. So it's actually quite complex and then simple at the same time.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because it sounds, what you just mentioned is it's a reframing of the situation, you know, but it's a reframing that goes deeper into the subconscious, because what happens a lot of the cases is people know that this is toxic, but even though knowing that this is toxic, whether it's alcohol or cigarettes, we have been brainwashed for a long time, you know, that this is acceptable, that this is okay, you know. But for what you just mentioned, it's going deeper into this 90%. It just make it more, just easier to let go, because at your subconscious level, your subconscious will know what is right for you once you reprogram it. So I am getting that right? Like,
so your subconscious doesn't really think for itself.
Okay.
You got your higher self, you know, bringing you into the therapy in the first place, recognizing that you need to do something about something. But it is like getting you there, and the 90% just follows instructions. And has been learning it because you've been showing it in a repetitive manner, and then it'll be like, oh, I know how to ride the bike. I don't have to think about it anymore. I just have to download how to ride a bike. You know, I don't, you know, you drive your car. You don't need to think every time you get into the car, what do I do with the ski? What do I do with my feet? You've got that download in your subconscious. So that 90% is just following instructions. It's following something that you have downloaded in a repetitive manner. So if you want to change it, getting in there and saying, hey, you no longer want to do this because it's not beneficial. It's slowing you down, it's making you sick, it's, it smells, it's expensive, it's like everything wrong about it. You don't really need to negotiate with your subconscious. It will just trust you that, okay, we're going to do something different now. And it will be quite motivated and on board. And things I do, or things that people typically come for hypnosis, would be stop smoking, reduce alcohol. Drinking seems to be a big thing in New Zealand too. There's a lot of that going on. Weight loss is the biggest. Weight loss is always very popular. So I do something which is called the virtual gastric band, which is probably my bread and butter, because it's known all throughout the world. And then I see a lot of people for anxiety, and that's really my passion, especially the young adults or teenagers too, who learn to overthink, who learn to freak themselves out, and really teaching them and how to have more positive thoughts, knowing, a thought leads to an emotion leads to a state, right? So you think negative, you think, oh my God, what could happen? You feel the tightness in your chest and your heart is going, and then you go into the fight and flight, and then you don't do anything anymore. But if you do the opposite, and you are thinking, I can do this will be easy, this will be fun, then you've got a nice sensation, a nice emotion, and then you go into the can-do state. So I really like working with people who, most of the time, they're very creative minds, they're very spiritual too, but they just got themselves into trouble by thinking the wrong thing and really freaking themselves out. So that's something that with hypnosis, it sometimes only takes a couple of sessions, 3 sessions. I add a bit of homoeopathy to it too, and that will help triggering their sort of self-healing abilities. So there's nothing that we can't deal with, right? If the person wants to have that change, if it's a download they've established, we both have good intentions, let's just get the job done.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so beautiful and so easy to make changes with using hypnotherapy. So I'm just wondering, what are the most common misconceptions? Why hypnotherapy is not more common, or more like, not more common, but why hypnotherapy is not more mainstream, or more like do you know what are the most common misconceptions?
So I think there has been a lot of misinformation.
Like everything.
That's right. Usually, if you hear negative things and somebody has scared you, you be careful with, hypnosis. They're going to do mind control and all of that. Don't even go there. It's like woohoo. And so I think a lot of people have listened to the wrong sources. It was the source of lies and not the source of truth, I would say. It is a very gentle approach. It only focuses on positive. And the good news is the person is in control at all times, right? I don't take control. Like, it's teamwork, right? You want to achieve something, I show you the way, we go that path together. I hand over the tools that empowers you to get the job done, and you'll be fine. It's effective. If the whole match, if the mindset is right and the match with your hypnotherapist is right, I would always recommend call them beforehand. Build some sort of rapport. You have to have some connection, because at the end of the day, it is a trust thing. You need to close your eyes and trust that person who's sitting with you in the room, or you've got the Zoom session with. And I think that's the biggest misconception, that people think somebody else takes control, and that's not true. They're in control at all times. They can get up if they wanted to. And it's only focusing on the positive, and it is too fast, too effective, And of course, the medical system doesn't offer it. So, you know, because they like to drag things out sometimes, right? You see somebody for counseling, they say, oh, this is such a big problem. This will take years to overcome it. No, hypnotherapy, we actually want to put you out of that misery and want you to move forward and enjoy your life. And what's wrong with that? You know, so it is a very safe approach. And yeah, if you've got an open mind and if you want to work on things, find the right person to do that work with you. And there are so many other beautiful things like what you do and other people. There's a lot of what they call alternative therapies. And I think we just find what works for us, what we resonate with, right? And then we keep an open mind.
Definitely. And these alternative therapies, I've been exploring them already for a couple of years, and I'm so amazed of how effective they have been. And I do have my own personal experience. I had a session with Stefanie a few months ago, been going through a lot of anxiety, as I have already shared in my channel. And this is something that I keep in my heart to remember that I'm safe, that I'm guided, that I'm supported, and remember myself as a tree with like very firm roots going down to the earth, and this has really supported me in this journey and all these change that is happening. And I'm just so curious how like it's so distorted, like the distortion that there is about these alternative therapies, which are so effective. But yeah, hopefully more people it's awakening and realizing and the variety that is out there. Like I feel, and what you were just mentioned about how important this is a teamwork. So how important is to really have some discernment, and to really see if you have if you feel a connection, if you feel that you can work together, because I guess not everyone is for everyone, and it doesn't mean that it's bad or good. It's just sometimes you might not be the right person.
That's right. You need to feel understood, right? You need to feel like this therapist needs to get you, and you know, you need to feel comfortable with them too. And they also sometimes that I turn clients down because I feel like this is not, you know, what aligns with my beliefs. And then I'm just being honest, and I just recommend that they might find someone else, because I know that we're not going to get the right results. And you know, we might put our time to better use. So yeah, I think it's about, you know, doing your homework, trying different things. You know, they always say teeth. Tried everything else, try hypnotherapy or try homeopathy. So we get all the teeth clients, you know, all the ones that, you know, they've been on their journey for quite some time. And eventually, you know, they find out about hypnotherapy and homeopathy. Eventually they turn up on my doorstep. And I do find that in the last, probably in the last year, I do get a lot of very spiritual people through the door who really have abilities to share and to heal and do all of this amazing work for humanity, but they don't have the confidence yet, right? So I feel like it's quite spooky how they come through my door and I'll be like, it's another one. All right. So I know my job is to help you on your journey so that you can help others. And it's like a beautiful exchange, right? I sometimes think I shouldn't even take any money, which we are really bad at anyway, right? Taking money for our services, but we do still have to pay our bills. But there's just this beautiful exchange, you know? And I feel like, wow, you know, I was part of their journey. I helped them to, you know, to give them the tools they needed to do whatever they came here to do. So again, you know, hypnotherapy, and I also offer a spiritual hypnosis, which is really exciting because it's working with ideomotor responses. So we're working with the superconscious mind. So the superconscious mind goes a lot deeper, and then it will be with your yes and your no fingers. So it'll be like closing eyes, and then we will say, okay, whatever is going on, has that something to do with past life experiences? Is it any karma? Is there anything going on physically? And then we address your superconscious mind and say, okay, if there's any problem, can superconscious mind please deal with it? And when it's finished, just show the yes finger that's done. So we go through a whole warranty of fitness through any area which could have anything to do with creating that problem or holding that person back. And that's a bit longer because we need to go in that theta state. So that session will be usually about 2 to 2.5 hours. And so it's a bit of a past life regression. If there's anything that needs to be worked at, anything in this life, is there anything to do with the hormones? Is there anything to do with your, gut health or whatever needs to be dealt with? And that's very exciting. It's called the Simpson Protocol.
Wow.
So it's training beautiful. I've done with Ines Simpson in Canada. And that's the spiritual, it's like the holistic one, which the mainstream person doesn't come for. They come for the normal sleep, tinnitus or, the weight loss. But people who are more spiritual, they do know there's past life regression, but the Simpson Protocol has so much more than just past life. It's just clearing everything which could possibly be in the way for that person to move forward. So it's very exciting.
Wow.
And that's something that, I should probably, share a little bit more in the future because people are ready for it now.
Yes. No, that sounds incredible. And I think talking about these spiritual gifts that a lot of us, I truly believe that all of us, we are geniuses and we have unique gifts and talents, but we are waiting to remember them. I think we sometimes we haven't found out which ones are. And I'm wondering if through this type of hypnotherapy, can people tap into these gifts and talents that a lot of us, we have been mastering for thousands of lives. We are masters on so many areas, but we just don't remember. So is it possible to tap into these gifts and talents that by doing this type of hypnotherapy?
Absolutely, because I would say when you have a hypnotherapy session, it's a little bit similar to meditation. You reconnect, right? You reconnect on a deeper level, and all of a sudden everything is just clearer. All of the overwhelm which was there initially is gone, and you just know what feels right. It's your intuition. It's not your gut feeling. Gut feeling is based on actual experiences in this life, but your intuition, that's something else, isn't it? That you just know it's right. You can't explain it, but you know it's right. So when you are going through hypnosis, it's really bringing you together, all parts of you, just getting you grounded, getting you balanced, and having that faith and trust so that you know exactly by tapping into your intuition and what's right and what's wrong. Do you feel a pull forwards into the left turn, or do you feel a lot more stronger that maybe the right one is actually not even a maybe, it's the right one because it is the right one, right? So it certainly can help people. And a lot of people have been rehearsing, right? They're rehearsing all of their time, and we've been taught and also, put in the fear stage, you need to keep your job. Because if you give up your job, like, oh my God, we don't even know whether you're going to survive, right? So you have to find this confidence to get out of the system a bit. Why not maybe do a few less hours and then start a few hours in the profession or the healing modality that you want to do, right? Start it off. You don't have to do the all and nothing. Some brave people do that, but, there could be like a gradual transition into the new one. But I do, as I said, I have helped so many people that I just, every time they come and they start, it's like deja vu, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, it feels like I've seen you before.
Oh,
It feels like we've done this before. And so it's just, I feel like like a little stopover, right? People go in there and then we do their makeover and we, equip them and we give them protection and we give them, we empower them and then off they go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it is, it is really, it is exciting. I so love what I'm doing. And that's the other thing. I think, when you talk to people in your voice is a frequency, right? You have good intention. You're coming from the heart. The person next to you, they pick up on it. You don't even have to say anything. Just the pure heart energy that you want to help that person. That's you're already halfway there.
Yes.
There's not much else that you need to do. So I think it's finding somebody genuine who wants to help you. And as I said, there's always that exchange. I feel uplifted after I've had a session with somebody, who's now free and they can move forward and, and have a purposeful life, do what they came here to do. It's exciting, isn't it?
Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's also a reminder that we are multidimensional beings. I think in this society we place a lot of our energy into the physical and in this body, but we are way more like the physical body. Yes, of course, we should love our bodies, our temple, and honor it. But this is just a part of what we are, and it's where this tapping into the super conscious plays a huge role, because I imagine the superconscious, it's guiding us on a the superconscious can see the whole picture of what we are supposed to be doing, and it can guide us in where we need to go. And I guess I'm not sure if is that the superconscious talking through us through our intuition.
I think it's the higher self. I think it's the higher self. I think when you have trust and faith and your ego is parked somewhere else, I think that's a big thing too. Practitioners can fall into the trap like, oh, look at me, I'm like, I've got 20 clients a week and I'm this and that, and they mustn't get carried away by that. They need to still be humble and balanced. And I think when you have that faith and trust, you realize that every time you open your mouth, you don't even have to think about what to say. There's like this flow, right? It's almost like you're getting a download. So when I first started 7 years ago with hypnotherapy, I knew I would always ask people before they would come in, like, what do you come in for? What is it? What is it? What do you want? Oh, smoking. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be having like everything prepared, and I've got my script there and all of the good suggestions and what to do and what to say. So the first 6 months I'll be sitting there, with my script, like clinging on to it, and, had sort of results, 50-50. And then at some stage I thought, just ditch the script. Right? Because what I found was 9 times out of 10, they came for something completely different. So I felt like all my preparation has gone through the window. What a waste of time. And I just thought, no, I want to be genuine. I don't want to sound like a robot reading my script. I want to sound authentic. So I just had this faith and trust. And honestly, and this is what I can recommend to anyone else, have faith and trust that when you are a practitioner who comes through the door, you can help them. Because otherwise they wouldn't be coming to see you. Nobody gets sent to you unless you can help them. And then you go in the flow, and then everything happens, and you say the right things to resonate with the person. And by doing that, you're shifting together. You're just going in that flow together. So you're just having faith and trust. Just all goes back to having faith and trust and your abilities that you can deal with it. Bring it on.
Beautiful. It sounds like the higher self of the person guides you to your higher self. Your higher selves are talking into another level as well.
The higher selves get you there in the first place, right? There's a certain pull, or when you think, oh, I've always thought of having this approach, but you never quite get around it. But it keeps popping up. It's this underlying niggling, like, oh, you really want to do that, don't you? And then you find yourself there, and you ask those people, so how did you find out about me? Oh, I can't remember now. Somehow I came across your website, and you looked friendly, and then I booked in. But often they can't even remember anymore how they got to you in the first place, right? So there has to be some higher power putting us into places, and then we have a choice. Do you want this part of your journey? Do you want to take this learning, or do you go somewhere else, or you might delay it? It's like whatever works for you. Might as well get the job done.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I wanted to ask you, because I know you are also working with homeopathy.
That's right.
How do you integrate hypnotherapy and homeopathy in your practice? What kind of synergy these two healing modalities can create?
So people have the choice. They can usually book in for either hypnotherapy or homeopathy. Now, homeopathy is an art of healing. It requires a lot of time and to understand how that person ticks. Now, if somebody comes for hypnotherapy and I already get my higher self or intuition is telling me, oh my gosh, you would be doing so well on Ignatia, 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 because it's a grieving remedy. And then I think, I'm going to mention at the end of the session, I say, look, if you're open to hypnotherapy, Ignatia is the biggest grieving. It works with loss and disappointment and criticism and all of that. It helps people to get out of that state, because homeopathy wants you to get from dis-ease into at ease. Then I just say, hey, do you want to try it? Here you got, in homeopathy, if you got the right potency, they only have one dose. That's it. It's not like, everyday thing. They have one dose that works on the emotional level. And then they come back and say, oh, can I have a few more of those little pills? Because, I think my mother might need it, because they might have just had a loss in their family, or, So this is just an example. Like, I put my homeopathy hat on too when I do the hypnotherapy. And if something is right in my face, how can I not share it with them? And they're not even paying for the remedy. Some people come just for homeopathy, and guess what? I do recommend hypnotherapy,
yes.
Because it just works so well together. Why not? So yeah, I do sort of play by ear who might benefit from it, and also not everyone is open to it, right? So you sort of put your feelers out, but it is it's an energy remedy too. It's a frequency. It's like quantum, right? To me, this is all quantum healing. Whether it is the hypnotherapy or the homeopathy, so it's going to shift something. And if that doesn't, well, then I have the backup. Then at least they had the right homeopathic remedy too. So I think that's probably how I combine those two approaches. And get just the best result out for the client. Then
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in terms of the a remedy that you use, is this, you mentioned that this is a energetic vibrational medicine.
Yeah.
Are we working here with the spirit of these plants, or what is the vibrational how does it work?
Yeah, so you're right in saying it is a frequency. So homeopathic remedies typically come from the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the plant kingdom. The basis is like you is like. So if there is something like arnica, the plant, arnica, like most people know arnica, right? Arnica is a polycrest remedy. Arnica helps everyone. You don't really need to differentiate. If you've got bruising, swelling, and bleeding, arnica will help too. So the theory is like you is like. So we take the arnica plant, if you would eat the arnica plant, it would actually give you the symptoms of bruising and bleeding, right? If you actually, eat the goats in the mountains, if they keep eating it every day, they are going to get, bruising and bleeding and inflammation and swelling. So the theory is, if you take, a little bit of that substance and you dilute it, and there's a process of, triturating it, succussing it, adding another drop into another one, another 99, another drop there. So by doing it, you're really uncovering the layers. You get to the spirit. That's what you said. That's actually quite nice, eh? You get to what makes this remedy tick. And that frequency, like is like. So if you now have somebody with an injury, and that injury stuck in their body, now you come with the right remedy, which was just a tiny amount, but you got the whole energy. It has enough power to overcome and to push. It triggers your self-healing ability. So if you're taking arnica right at the beginning, you're skipping all the swelling and bruising, then you go straight to yellow. At the end of a trauma injury, when you are like weeks later, it's yellow. Well, arnica just skips the whole like swelling and bruising thing, the blue bruising, and that it goes straight into yellow. Wow, so it's speeding up the healing. But you can have different potencies. So the potencies where there's more of the substance in there is the physical level you treat with. You've diluted it more, so you made it stronger energy-wise, frequency. Like a 200C goes into the emotional, so it actually helps you to get rid of sadness or get rid of anxiety. And then you have got the mental plane, where people have delusions, right? And then you get a higher potency, which is the highest diluted. So it's people need to get their head around it. It's completely different, right? But we need different. Yes. Because what we have so far is not working for most of us, right? Yeah. So we need to be a bit more open. And again, if somebody has poo-pooed something, look into it, because that could well help you. Because, if there's something cheap and effective, it's more likely to be, blacklisted and called a quackery. Is it quackery? Quackery? Or placebo or whatever else, But again, choose a good practitioner, choose somebody who studied it, who's done it for many years, and who you feel that you can open up to.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Stefanie, what are some practices that people can incorporate into their daily lives to enhance their well-being that use these approaches that we have been discussing?
Yeah. Okay. So with homeopathy, I think a good idea is to have your first aid kit, so have a homeopath putting it together for you. With homeopathy, we always aim to get what we call the constitutional remedy, and the constitutional remedy is one that will always work for you, no matter what you have, whether you have bronchitis, whether you have some digestive issues, a carefully chosen remedy will not really change, hardly ever change. So what we do is we sample it. We see, how the success is. If the patient feels better for it every time, then we order them their own remedy, and that will last for years, because you only need very little, and sometimes only every 6 months, or only when they need to have like a vent, if something was built up and they're in that disease state, but they want to go like, oh, life is good, I'm surviving, I can be healthy again. So homeopathy have your first aid kit at home and your constitutional. So the constitutional, if you have got bruising and bleeding, you wouldn't really take that. You still take arnica, but more the emotional stuff, you have your constitutional one, right? With hypnotherapy, as I mentioned earlier on, I do give all of my clients their own personal recording. So I send them the MP3 file, and it's a short one, right? We need to be realistic. No one is going to listen to a 45-minute recording, right? So we're all pretty time poor. So it's usually like a 15-minute recording remember, they need to hear it again and again. We are creating new neural pathways. We are creating new behaviors. So we need to get brainwashed the way we want to get brainwashed. And then we just do it as long as it takes for the symptoms to disappear, right? For when we have achieved whatever we wanted to achieve. So having the home recording is a really good tool. Ask your hypnotherapist if they provide it. Not everyone does it because you only get one shot, right? But when you have faith and trust that, you know, you're sort of getting a download and you say something that you're supposed to be saying, you have that faith and trust. You know, you press your recording and, you know, and you just go with the flow. And that's and always be sure your batteries are working, because sometimes I had it like halfway through, it was like beep, and it was, and then I had to like replicate the whole thing, and it's never quite the same.
Yes.
If you know, in that moment with that person, because you know, where's your teammate? You know, if you do it later on, they're gone, and you try to, you know, so. But I've learned that quite quickly to have my batteries in my little recorder.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm just curious about the constitutional that you were talking about before. What is that constitutional? Is it this made for each individual? Is a specific?
You have to match the energy with the person.
Oh, okay.
So you have to really take that case. So what you do is you really go back to even, you know, the pregnancy of your mum and how your birth was and what illnesses you went through. And every remedy has a picture. It's like almost a mind map. So if you're telling me, oh, I used to have reflux as a baby, I used to have cradle cap, I used to have asthma, I used to have digestive issues, you know, there's a lot of inflammation going on. So the remedy that I choose has to be helpful in all of those areas, right? Because this is part of that remedy picture. And this is why it's art of healing, because in homeopathy, you have like 5,000 remedies. Right? And then you have to decide, is this coming from an animal kingdom, mineral kingdom, or plant? So even the person, you need to understand, does it come from an animal energy, or is this more a plant, a sensitive, sensitive? They often have a very sensitive, constitution, those people. Or is it the animal one who blames everyone else for their misfortune? Or is it is it coming from the mineral kingdom, where they are very structured, they're very black and white, and they always, you know, look for the lack within themselves, so they blame themselves rather than other people for the misfortune. So it's a very interesting art of healing.
Wow, beautiful.
And because I come from Germany, and homeopathy comes from Germany too. Like in 1796, it was found out by a guy called Samuel Hahnemann. Maybe it is in my roots too, and it was a thing that I wanted to explore. And in Germany, 60% of the German people actually use it.
Oh, wow.
60%, you know, so you can see, it has been suppressed a lot in other countries. It's cheap and effective. So you find it's used a lot in India. Too, you know, it's used in the US, but Germany, it's still they're a lot more using it than in other countries. But I studied in New Zealand in the South Pacific College for Natural Medicine, so it was interesting to get my diploma here, but still bringing, some books and knowledge back from Germany.
Wow, beautiful. I think we can spend a whole session talking about homeopathy.
You're asking all the right questions.
I'm so interested to hear about the animal kingdom. Like which type of remedies can you use?
We should have a homeopathy session, eh? We should do a swap one.
We definitely do one just talking about homeopathy, because I've been doing some type of homeopathy as well with flower essence from New Zealand.
Okay.
And it works with all the plants from New Zealand, and it's kind of like working with the spirit of the plant, but it's also a vibrational medicine. Really beautiful, very transformative as well, very gentle. So we should definitely have another session to discuss.
Look forward to it.
But just to wrap up, thank you so much, Stefanie, for this amazing conversation. I really appreciate your time and your wisdom. And for anyone out there in Auckland, Stefanie is located in Ponsonby. Is your clinic?
No, it's actually in Browns Bay,
Browns
and
Bay.
in Kumeo. So you can find me under hypnosisauckland.co.nz. That's the website. Yeah, but yeah, I'm on the North Shore in Auckland, or I'm out in Northwest Auckland, and I see people face to face, but also seeing people via Zoom. So that seems to be, quite popular now too. That people just do. We had a Zoom session at the time too, eh?
Yes.
So that was good fun. So yeah, thank you for asking all the right questions and to actually give me the platform to put all of those things out there. And thank you for listening.
No, thank you so much. So if any one of you in Auckland, you can just Google Hypnotherapy Auckland and you can find Stefanie details. Also, if you are anywhere around the world and you speak English or German, any other language, English, German, you are able to also have a Zoom call to do some hypnotherapy. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.